My name is Natalie Pierce, and for most of my life, I believed in nothing but science. I taught high school biology for 18 years. I held 2 degrees in molecular biology. I ran my classroom like a well-oiled machine. Charts, cells, theorems, data. My world was measurable, understandable, predictable. I wasn't angry at religion. I just thought it was wishful thinking. A tool for people who needed comfort. A story for those afraid of death. But not something for someone like me. Someone who trusted what could be seen, repeated, and explained. God was a myth. Faith was for the emotional. Death was the end. I had a peaceful routine. Coffee in the morning, lectures, grading, hiking on weekends. I didn't feel like I was missing anything. Or so I thought. It was a Thursday morning. I had just finished pouring my second cup of coffee. The sun was out, my windows were cracked, and I was listening to a science podcast as I drove. Then screeching tires, a blinding impact. I never saw the other car. There was no time to react. One moment I was singing along to a radio jingle, and the next, silence. But it wasn't nothingness. It wasn't black. It was something else entirely. I found myself in a space that didn't feel like space. There was no floor beneath me, no sky, no direction. But I was still me. In fact, I was more aware than I'd ever been. My senses were sharp. My thoughts were clear. It was like my body had been turned off, but something deeper had been switched on. I had spent my whole life studying life. And now, for the first time, I realized I wasn't my body. I wasn't floating. I wasn't walking. I just was. And I wasn't alone. At first, it was just a feeling. Like someone was watching me. Not in a creepy way, but in a knowing, curious, almost loving way. Then the light came. It didn't shine from above or around. It emerged from within everything. It wasn't just brightness. It was purity, truth, intelligence, love. And then from the center of the light, a figure began to take shape. A man. He didn't need to tell me who he was. I knew. It was Jesus. And I was terrified, not because of him, but because I had spent my entire adult life denying him. I don't believe in you, I thought. But he heard me. Without moving his lips, he responded, not with anger, not with smugness, but with love. He looked at me like I was precious, not pathetic, like he'd known me longer than I had known myself. And when he said my name, Natalie, I felt something inside me crumble. Because it wasn't a name said with authority. It was a name said with affection. I wanted to protest, to argue, to bring up evolution, to defend my worldview. But none of it came out, because in that moment, I realized I hadn't been rejected. He had loved me the entire time, even when I mocked him. Jesus let me feel the times I had cried in secret, and he was there. The ache I had hidden with schedules and textbooks. The moments I longed for connection but chose control instead. And still, he didn't leave. He showed me memories, not the highlight reel, the little things. A time I gave a sandwich to a homeless man outside a gas station. When I stayed late after school to comfort a struggling student. A moment I forgave someone without telling them. Each one pulsed with meaning in his eyes. Then he showed me something that broke me. People had been praying for me. My grandmother, long gone. A student who once gave me a handwritten card. A coworker who quietly asked God to bless me during lunch breaks. I didn't even believe in prayer, but apparently God believed in me. He showed me why I had walked away. Because of people. The judgmental ones. The fake ones. The ones who used his name as a weapon. Jesus said, "You didn't reject me, Natalie. You rejected what they did in my name." And he looked grieved, not at my disbelief, but at the way his name had been misrepresented. I realized I had never really seen him. Not until now. And now that I had, I could never unsee him. Jesus showed me what would have happened if I had survived the accident but never met him. My life would have looked fine. I'd keep teaching, keep walking my dog, keep drinking my coffee. But inside, I'd slowly harden. I'd grow more distant, more numb, more cynical. He didn't show me destruction. He showed me emptiness, a high-functioning life with no soul in it. And I wept because I realized I had been surviving, but I had never really lived. I stood there undone, shattered, transformed, and I looked at Jesus, not as a stranger I couldn't explain, but as someone I never wanted to leave. "I want you," I said. "Not heaven, not paradise. Him. Please let me go back. Not for achievement, not to fix things, just to live differently." I didn't beg because I feared death. I begged because I finally knew what it meant to be alive. Jesus didn't hand me a list of commandments. He didn't give me a new religion or demand a church membership. He simply looked into my soul and said, "Live like you've seen me. Love like I've loved you. Be the proof someone else is praying for." Then he reached toward me, and before I could take another breath, I was back. I opened my eyes to the sound of machines, beeping, wires, IVs. A nurse gasped. Someone yelled for a doctor. My body screamed in pain, but my soul was singing. My mother was in the corner, holding a rosary she never used. My brother sat with a Bible on his lap, unsure why he even brought it. And me, I whispered, "Jesus." The doctor leaned in. "Do you know where you are?" I nodded. I was with him. They called it a miracle. I should have had brain damage. I should have been paralyzed. Instead, I walked out of the hospital weeks later, a little sore but whole. But something had changed, and everyone saw it. I didn't fill silence with lectures anymore. I cried during sunsets. I hugged more. I listened instead of correcting. I didn't become a preacher. I didn't write a book. I didn't plaster my story on social media. I just lived differently. For the first time in my life, I opened the Bible not as an academic, but as a daughter. And it breathed. Verses I once scoffed at suddenly felt like letters written to me. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. "Come to me, all who are weary. I have called you by name. You are mine." I wasn't trying to understand everything. I was just trying to know him. I started praying, not to be religious, but because I missed him. I forgave people I had held silent grudges against. I reached out to students I'd once thought were wasting their potential. I started listening to people's stories, even the messy ones, especially the messy ones, because I realized everyone is fighting a battle we can't see. And somewhere, someone is whispering into the dark, If anyone's out there, I want to know, just like I did. One day, a student from years ago messaged me, "Miss Pierce, I'm an atheist, but lately I've been wondering, if God is real, I hope he's like you." I didn't argue. I just said, "He's better." Another time, a coworker asked, "Why do you seem so peaceful all the time now?" And I smiled, thinking of the light, because I know what waits for me and who walks with me in the meantime. Years passed. I got older, slower. My hair turned silver. My body changed. And then one day, the diagnosis came, an aggressive illness with a timeline. I didn't panic. I didn't shut down. I smiled, because I already knew what came next. I used my final year to reconcile with my father, help my brother come back to faith, record voice notes for my future grandchildren, write letters to students, reminding them they mattered. And then one morning, wrapped in a blanket with the sunlight on my face, I felt the light again, and I knew he came back for me. I spent most of my life denying God. I thought he was a story, a myth, a weakness. But when I met him, I discovered I was the story, and he was the author. Jesus didn't shame me. He didn't lecture me. He loved me into belief. He met me in the very place I thought was empty, and it was there I found everything. You don't have to understand everything. You just have to be willing. Willing to ask. Willing to receive. Willing to say, "If you're real, show me." He will. He did for me. And I promise he will for you too. If you've made it this far, thank you. That means something inside you is stirring. Like and share the story with someone who thinks they're too smart to believe. Comment below if you're questioning, doubting, or secretly hoping there's more. I'll read every word. Subscribe for more true stories of people who encountered Jesus in their darkest and most unexpected moments. And if you're silently whispering what I once did, God, if you're out there, I want to know. Just listen, because he's already calling you by name.